If you Google it, you'll see that most of the iron came to Earth outside of Earth itself. It was projected into the Earth. Okay. All right.
Okay. Can you cite your resource? Can you cite your source on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think I got my stuff mixed up here, so I apologize for that.
That's fine.
But if you are burnt to a certain extent, you no longer would feel that pain. Am I wrong?
Okay. Can you cite your source here?
Any scientific source, bro. You can't tell me that you don't know.
So are you telling me no, you can't cite your source?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Should I call you Francis? What would you like to be called?
That's perfectly fine, and I appreciate you asking.
Great. Okay, Francis. So you say that the Quran affirms science and science affirms the Quran. Can you elaborate?
Absolutely so. Okay, so we as Muslims understand that the Quran is a representative of things that we may not understand in the time that was represented to us, but now in our day and era, we're like, whoa, that makes sense. So like if I were to go to the Quran and look at the 57th chapter, it's entitled Al-Hadid, which means the iron. Okay.
Yep.
In Arabic, you have a system called the adjab system, where each letter has a numerical value. So you don't really need numbers. You have the letters to do everything, you know? So Al-Hadid would equal the amount of 57, which is the stable atomic mass of iron. The word iron...
Iron is it's iron 56 is what you want.
Well, there's actually 4 or 5. So you can
but iron 56 is the most common stable isotope of iron.
That's from the understanding of human knowledge on a basis.
Yeah, okay? Iron 57 is
the most
iron 57 only makes up 2% of natural iron.
Okay.
And it's also less stable because it doesn't have a magic number of nucleons.
Okay. The word iron in Al-Hadid has a value of 26, which is the atomic number for iron.
Okay, so you're giving me some numerical coincidences. Cool. So what's the scientific evidence here?
Okay. In the verse, it specifically states, and we know that the electromagnetic sphere around the Earth, the geomagnetic sphere, is created from the iron in the center of the Earth, but it is affirmed by the verse in which it...
Which verse?
It's chapter 57, verse 25.
25.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Scrolling. Okay, so I'm looking at this. So it says, "Indeed, we sent our messengers with clear proofs, and with them we sent down scripture and balance of justice so that people may administer justice. And we sent down iron with its great might, benefits for humanity, and means for Allah to prove who is willing to stand up for him and his messengers without seeing him. Surely Allah is all-powerful, almighty." Right, okay, so what about this verse is proven by science?
Okay. We know that iron did not come from the Earth. It came from stars that have to have its breakdown, they have to have gone supernova, and they have to have had a mass or solar temperature of like 10 million degrees Celsius. Our sun, incapable of doing that. So we know that
Earth formed with the iron on it. Negative. Or in it, really. No, that's absolutely the case. The Earth's iron core would have been like part of the Earth as it formed.
It has been, I mean, if you Google it, you'll see that most of the iron came to Earth outside of Earth itself. It was projected into the Earth. Okay. All right.
Okay. Can you cite your source on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds, sir. I don't want to use Wikipedia because that's like anyone's mom could be like.
Wikipedia is fine. It's generally pretty good as far as science is concerned.
Yeah, it's known as meteoric iron.
Meteoric iron is not all of the iron on Earth.
It amounts to about 87% of all the iron on Earth. The other 13%
Hold on. So where does it say the 87%?
Oh, that would be under the Wikipedia descriptor.
I'm on the Wikipedia page for meteoric iron, and the number 87 isn't anywhere on the page except in one of the references where it refers to a Psi ID number. Actually, we can just Google this. How much of Earth's iron is meteoric? Now, perhaps we don't trust the AI overview, but we can, so we can skip down. So, we can skip down and look for the source for this.
Yeah. Like I said, I can't really go. I look at Wikipedia as this. You could be like, hey, I see this guy's view, but my view is better. Go into Wikipedia, change his view, and that's what Wikipedia says now. You don't have to have like entitlement or anything.
Well, no, I mean, but so we don't have to use Wikipedia, but the point is that like it's not clear at all that the amount that iron on Earth is like most of it is meteoric. In fact, I would bet that it's like on the order of like, less than 1% of the Earth's total iron is from meteors.
Okay. Can I go into the
so just to be clear, do you have a source that this is the case, or did you kind of just say that?
I was going off of the generalization from what I had read from.
So where did the 87% number come from?
The Wikipedia site.
I looked at Wikipedia. It's not on there anymore. So actually, you know what we can do? You know what we're going to do? Here's what we'll do.
Yes,
we're going to go look at the edited. We're going to go look at how, because it keeps track of all of the edits that were made, right? So we will go look at the view edit history. So there's not a whole lot of edits. So what we're going to do, so this is when the page was first created. Do you remember when about you saw this?
Oh, here's even more accurate. Iron. If you just go to iron in general, it says for Wikipedia, what is 90% of all metal that is iron refined today is from outside surface metals. Most of it is
90% of worldwide. So iron is the most widely used of all metals, accounting for over 90% of worldwide metal production. Okay.
Okay.
So, and then what?
Okay. 90% of all. I think I got my stuff mixed up here, so I apologize for that.
That's fine.
My next emphasis would be the form of unseen protection. What all does iron do for us? All right, we have the geomagnetic sphere. Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Just to be clear, though, so it's not the case that the iron on Earth came down from the heavens, right?
That's not true. If you look up where does iron come from on Earth, what does it say?
Well, so no, the claim is that the iron was sent down to the Earth, right? Not that the Earth formed with iron in it, and that iron came from somewhere else. Because it says we sent down iron with its great might, benefits for humanity, and means for Allah to prove who, blah, 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 blah. It's not that the Earth formed with iron. The iron was sent down. Sent down to where? Sent down to Earth.
Well, you figure in the 2 days that God was creating the Earth against the 4 that he was creating the universe, because if you actually take the age of the universe as compared to the age of the Earth, you have 13.5 billion years against
13.8.
Okay, it's a relative number. Okay, we only know a certain. Who knows more, God or us?
Well, I don't think God exists. So,
well, all right. If I'm just saying,
us.
All right, if a God in your understanding did exist, he would know all those characteristics more accurately than we would. Correct?
Sure.
Because exactly right. So you have 13.5 against 4.5, right? So that's
13.8 against 4.5.
Okay, which is a more accurate view. 2 of 6 days. That actually kind of fits what it says in the Quran, ironically.
How is it 2 of 6 days? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Because that's roughly a third.
Of like the universe was
because
4
that's roughly
days,
a third.
Yes, and then all right. Another ironic thing. Do you know?
Wait. Hold on. No. I'm sorry. So we aren't done with the iron thing. So it just sounds like it's not the case that all of the iron was sent down.
Okay. You can.
Do we agree on that?
The iron in the center of the Earth, I'm saying, was formed.
That's like the vast majority of the iron on Earth is the iron.
But we're talking iron that can we use the iron in the core to use to make stuff? No, we cannot. We cannot. Get
okay, so do you have evidence that the iron that we mine is meteoric in general?
You can Google that.
Okay. I'm just gonna Google it. How much of Earth's surface iron is meteoric? Okay, let's. We're just going to use the AI overview because it just makes it easier, and we can go look at the references.
I trust it.
Well, you shouldn't, but we'll just read it and then we can look at its sources. The vast majority of iron on Earth's surface is not meteoric. Most of it is native terrestrial iron that sank to the core during Earth's formation. However, the small amount of meteoric iron on the surface is the only naturally occurring native iron in metallic form, and it's primarily found in the form of iron-nickel meteorites that have landed on Earth's crust. So, right, the vast majority of iron on Earth's surface is not meteoric.
Okay. I can respect that. But it was generally, all right, how was, all right, in your perspective, if Earth was scientifically formed, it was formed from many, many instances that happened that would cause layers upon layers to form. Then, you have whatever the big thing was that hit and then made the moon and boom, you know what I'm saying? But can you deny that the Earth has forms of protection unseen? Can you deny that iron is a form of balance inside of the Earth? Because it says this form of stability and balance. There's multiple in Arabic. One word, like the word tauba, it means to repent, but it also means to turn
Okay,
away.
where does it say stuff unseen?
That's another variation. So if you go to like I said,
we also sent iron with its mighty strength and many uses for mankind. So, like, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, there's, like I said, when you transliterate to English, there can be different things, but unseen is one of the transliterations in Muslim.
What verse?
It's an app called Muslim Pro. So basically, I want to say that's the clear Quran, and then.
So I'm looking at 3 different translations.
Yeah.
Because I always have 3 different translations up, and none of them say anything about unseen.
Well, I can take a picture.
So I see, and means for Allah to prove it. So, and we sent down iron with its great might, benefits for humanity, and means for Allah to prove who is willing to stand up for him and his messengers without seeing him. So this is without seeing Allah, not without seeing the magnetic field.
Yeah, it's not about seeing what's in the core. It's about trusting in what is available to you and understanding that it didn't come from just randomness. Like he said.
Okay, so it seems like you're doing a lot of interpretation here.
You have this, well.
So I mean, if you interpret it in light of scientific, understanding, then sure, you can make it say whatever you want it to say. But that's not like the plain language of the text. So
okay, I'll give you that. So we'll go to the next one.
All right, what's the next one?
All right, the geographic location of the Kaaba. If you look up the golden ratio on the Earth, okay, which is 1.618. We know what the golden ratio is. Every galaxy have it. Every phase.
Well, that's not true. It's just not true that the golden ratio is a thing that all galaxies and all of that, it's just not the case, right? Like if you want counterexamples, I can give you counterexamples. If
you would look to where the golden ratio is on Earth, it is actually in Mecca.
I don't know what you mean by the golden ratio is on Earth. I don't know what that means.
Just look up what is the golden ratio of Earth.
The golden ratio is a number. Golden numbers aren't of Earth. You have to tell me, what are we comparing?
If you were to take it off of the polarities of the north and south.
Polarities? Okay. Are you talking about the latitude and longitude? What are you doing? What are we talking about?
Yes, latitude and longitude. The dynamic time against distance.
Latitude and longitude of Mecca, or of the Kaaba, right?
It's 2125. It's easy.
Okay, so we want the. So it's 21. So the Al Kaaba is at 21.4225 north and 39.8262 east. So you want me to take the ratio of those two things or something?
Basically, if you take the ratio.
All right, let's take the ratio.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. I'm opening up a calculator so I can do that. So we're going to do 39.8262 divided by 21.4225. Let's see what it says. Oh no! Oh no, it's 1.85.
That might, hold up. Let me see. 42 degrees by 29 minutes, 32 by 5. So
that's not where the Kaaba is.
Yes. The meridian of the golden ratio, which is 298.
Wait a minute, hold on. I just looked up latitude and longitude of the Kaaba, and these are the coordinates it gave me. Are those wrong?
Okay, 2142. 2125 should be. I'm confused as to.
Well, it's 20. Yeah. It's probably 21 degrees 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but that's the same as 21.42.
If you go to the Quran, Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran, verse 125.
But wait, the ratio's wrong. The ratio's wrong, right? So, it's not 1.68, 1.618.
I'm gonna have to show you the dynamic for it because it's there. I'm telling you it's there, bro. I promise you. I have no means to lie or make stuff up.
No, I just don't think that you know. So so the longitude is at 39 degrees east, 39 degrees and change, right? And the latitude is 21 degrees and change. So if we just do 39 divided by 21, we should get something at least close. But 39 divided by 21 is 1.85.
All right. So 20. You have, what did you have as your statistic for the variant for degrees on both sides? Can I see that again, please?
I'm just saying it's 39 degrees 21 degrees north, 39 degrees east. And then, 39 degrees and change east and 21 degrees and change north, right? Do we agree that those are roughly the coordinates?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay,
but
so
I don't.
If we just take the bounds of those, so there's 4 combinations. It could be 21 and 39, 22 and 39, 21 and 40, and 22 and 40. We can take all of those ratios and we can check that none of them will give us anything close to the golden ratio, which means that that whatever the exact value is, it can't fall at that level. So we'll do 39 divided by 21, that's 1.85. We can do 40 divided by 21, that's 1.9. We can do 39 divided by 22, that's 1.77. And we can do 40 divided by 22, that's 1.81. Sorry, 1.82. Which means that as long as it's between 21 and 22 degrees north and between 39 and 40 degrees east, nothing between those values will ever have a ratio that is the golden ratio.
Okay, so what about, because here it says that 21.42939.
Yeah, 20. So I have 21.4225, but that's pretty close for the latitude. Now, what about the longitude?
Okay, longitude. So can you do 21.42939? Because that's the exact.
Okay, 21.42939.
Okay, because that is the exact latitude.
Sure. And what is the longitude?
Longitude. I don't know why it wouldn't just be like right physically next to it. They're like.
Because all of the coordinates that I'm getting are like 39.8 degrees east.
1/6 total. 31 degrees by 22 minutes.
You're getting 31 degrees east?
That's what it's reading, yeah.
Okay. I don't think that that's right. So 31 degrees by 31 degrees in 22 minutes. So 22 divided by 60 is sorry, I can't copy. So we need to convert minutes to degrees. So 22 minutes, you said? So it's 31.367. So we want 31.367. Don't worry, y'all, we'll get there. 31.367 divided by 21.429. That's 1.46.
Yeah, but I'm failing right now as in my representing this because I swear I had this.
I mean, like, look, the latitude and longitude of the Kaaba are 21-ish degrees north and 39 degrees-ish east. We can just go to Google Earth and we can plug it in and we'll find it at those coordinates. And those coordinates, the ratio is not the golden ratio.
Maybe that was my own internal error then, because I definitely was processing that one myself. I was like, wait, that's kind of like in that general.
Wrong?
I'm going to say, yeah, I failed in that aspect. But as you can see, it is 21 by 25. It's in the Quran as that.
Wait, but it's not at 21 degrees north, 25 degrees east.
25 minutes. 21 by 25 minutes. I mean,
I don't think that that's true either. Sorry, 0.4225 times 60 is 25. Okay, so it's 21 degrees, 25 minutes, and then some change. Sure, what does that have? So 21.25, okay, is that a particularly
The
important verse?
maritime standard for latitude and longitude wasn't finalized until the 1800s, when the Earth was actually.
But what's important about 2125?
It's actually, that's the very first verse in the Quran that represents the Kaaba. So it's actually.
How is it representing the Kaaba?
Because it talks about the Kaaba in that verse.
I'm looking at the verse right now.
Chapter 2, verse 125.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why aren't we going to chapter 21, verse 25?
No, it's
because 21 degrees 25 minutes is not 2 degrees 125 minutes. Those are not the same thing.
Well, patterns are different in ways that we see them.
So you're just allowed to move decimal places however you want in order to make things work out?
God can do whatever he wants to do.
It sounds like you're finding patterns where there aren't any.
Okay. So
it would be really cool if verse 21, if book 20, I guess it's a chapter, if chapter 21, verse 25 said something about the Kaaba. That would be kind of surprising, actually, but it doesn't.
Okay. But chapter 2, verse 125 does.
Okay, but 2.125 or 2 degrees 125 minutes is not 21 degrees 100 or 25 minutes, right? These are just not the same thing.
But we're also talking about something that wouldn't have been a pattern in a time that the pattern wouldn't have existed.
Right, because the pattern, you're making the pattern, right? You are looking for any arrangement of 2125 that you can find.
So if God makes a code for you to figure out, it's supposed to just be like instantaneously
This
noticeable?
sounds like people making a code.
Well, how could they make a code when the code wouldn't have existed?
The people who found this found something that wasn't put there intentionally.
It's like, or like if you put, say the word land is in the Quran a specific amount of times as to the word sea, and if you take them as an equation, it actually equates to the amount of land and sea on Earth. Like
that is I don't believe that. B, I don't care. Like that like you could find these kinds of coincidences in literally any book.
Okay, so the God saying that the sun swims in its orbit, that's wrong?
Yeah, it doesn't swim. There's no medium in space. No.
I want you how does gravity occupy a body?
I don't know what that question means.
Okay. So if I'm going to touch the wall, right? If I go to touch the wall in my infinite space of my finger in which I could touch, even though I'm touching the wall, I'm never physically touching the wall because of apparent gravity. That is scientific.
That has nothing to do with gravity, by the way.
It absolutely does, because the sun is in an occupied space.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Space
to be clear,
water.
You think that when you're touching a wall, you're not touching it because of gravity?
You're not, because of gravity.
It has nothing to do with gravity. How do you think gravity is related there?
Because there's like a certain pull against an object inside of its space that is a constant. So if that object constantly has the same surface tension against my surface tension on my object, there is going to be a space of gravity in between those two.
What does that have to do with gravity? What does surface tension have to do with gravity?
Like, you don't think certain surface tension has... So let's look at water as an example. If surface tension and gravity didn't have any, apparent hold on each other, we would be like having globules of water float around all the time, as if we were in space.
What? No, I don't see how that follows. Look, you said that somehow it's gravity that prevents you from touching things. I asked how, and then you brought up surface tension, and those are not the same thing.
I'm saying that there's always gravity in between. There's space in between.
What does it mean that there's gravity between two things?
Because you're exerting force.
Gravity isn't the only kind of force that's present. It's not the only kind of force that exists.
You have kinetic force. You have...
No, there's electromagnetic force. That's the thing that stops you from touching something, even though, you're touching something in as much as you're touching anything, right? But...
Okay. All right. So...
Mark, question... Sorry, your name's not Mark. The previous guy's name was Mark. Francis, how did you get introduced to Islam?
Reading, studying, listening to like a lot of lecture, um, reading the Quran, kind of getting an understanding of like as a comparison to like, okay, Jesus this, but Jesus never says he's God, but he also says, I want you to pray like this with me, not for me, but with me, you know. Um, he verifies like, hey,
But
I
what does
do
that
all
have to
these
do with convincing you that Islam is true? Like, it could just be that Christianity is false and Islam is false.
Well, I mean, a lot of the scientific presence, like if you were to take the prefrontal lobe, okay, in the Quran it says when we grab the liars and the sinners, we'll take them by their lying sinful forelock. Okay, the
Yeah.
prefrontal lobe is where lies are processed. Okay, so to say like the lying sinful forelock would be a jump unless you knew.
Do you know where forelocks are?
It's the front of your head.
No,
right.
Forelocks are like these, right?
Four. Lock.
Oh, I guess forelocks are actually a part of a horse's mane. It's not actually a thing that. Do we even talk about it on people? I don't even know if it's a thing that's talked about on people. A forelock is a piece of, okay, so according to, we can just go look at vocabulary.com. Or let's go to Cambridge Dictionary, actually. Okay. We'll look at this. Forelock. A piece of hair that grows or falls over the forehead. Part of the face above the eyes, or part of a horse's mane that falls forward between its or part of a horse's mane that falls forward between its ears. So you're just talking about bangs.
In essence, yes.
Okay, so the prefrontal cortex is like the entire part. It's not just the front bit, right?
But the prefrontal lobe is very much the dead center of your forehead. So if I grabbed you by like the very front of your head, let's say we're talking about a teacher who's mad in class and she sees that little piece of hair in the front of your head and she drags you by it. That's what.
So
that's.
I don't understand why you would grab someone by their hair. Why that would have anything to do with.
It's the analogy
the
of being.
So it's an analogy. There's a lot of interpretation happening here.
No, it's science, bro.
There's no science. Your hair isn't the part that does the lying.
No, the prefrontal lobe is.
Right,
okay?
and that's not your forelocks.
It's right behind where it's at. It's a reference to it. All right, so
okay, so you're doing interpretation again.
Skins, right, when it talks about burning people in hell, okay, we're gonna take their skins. Once they're burnt fully, we'll replace them with new skins. Why would God replace burnt skins with new skins? Why?
You tell me.
Because there's no nerve receptors in a burnt flesh. You can only burn your skin so much before you can feel pain. And then you can't feel pain anymore on your skin. So if you replace the skin with
to be clear, there are nerve clusters all over the body, not just in skin.
But if you are burnt to a certain extent, you no longer would feel that pain. Am I wrong?
Okay, can you cite your source here?
Any scientific source, bro. You can't tell me that you don't know.
So are you telling me no, you can't cite your source?
Well, I could look up any source about that.
Okay. Can you feel pain in parts of your body that aren't skin? Yes. You can feel pain in parts of your body that aren't skin, such as muscles, bones, joints, and internal organs, because all have pain-sensing nerve endings.
But
I mean, that's the AI overview, so who knows if it's believable.
But
we can just
your flesh feel the pain anymore.
Well, yeah, the rest of you can.
All right, but here we says a 4th degree burn or type of this type makes your skin turn red, blotchy. You may have dryness or moist.
Actually, you know what? Here you go. Here's a great example. Francis, so have you ever had appendicitis?
Thankfully, no.
Okay, so appendicitis is like horribly painful. Like it's just like awful, right? It has nothing to do with your skin, right?
No.
Then how can you feel the pain if the only way to sense pain is through your skin?
I'm not saying that is the only way to feel pain. I'm saying that if the skin was burnt completely off, the skin would no longer feel the pain of the fire burning it.
Obviously.
Yes.
Okay, that doesn't take a miracle to know. If the skin doesn't exist, the skin can't feel pain because it doesn't exist anymore.
But the neuroscience wasn't there when it was represented back then.
You don't need neuroscience to understand that. If the skin is no longer there, of course the skin's not going to feel pain.
Okay.
Something else might, but the skin won't. The skin doesn't exist.
So in hell, it says that they will drink a boiling liquid and it will burn their bowels. Okay,
Yeah.
the bowels, you don't feel pain in your intestines if you drink something hot.
Well, I actually don't know if that's true. I
There's
imagine
no
that you probably
nerve
would feel
receptors.
that, actually.
There's no nerve receptors in your intestines. There
My
are in
brother
your
would beg to
bowels.
differ, by the way.
Go ahead.
It's called visceral pain. It's a real thing. Like, you absolutely can feel. Actually, here's a good example. Have you ever been constipated?
Of course.
It hurts, right? Especially if it's really bad.
Yes.
Yeah, how are you feeling that?
That's gas inside your bowels.
Yeah, why does it hurt if there's no pain receptors there?
It's your bowels. Your bowels have pain receptors. Your intestines.
Yeah, so you could feel burning liquid, plausibly.
In your bowels, yes,
Yeah.
in your bowels, but not in your intestines. It's specifically.
That's what your bowels are.
But it labels the bowels as they have pain receptors.
Wait, what do you think bowels are?
It didn't say the intestines. It didn't say it would burn their
You know that
throat.
your bowels is just a colloquial language for intestines, right?
We're talking like your gut. Your
That's what your bowels are, your intestines. And then sometimes your stomach is included as well.
What? am I at a loss here? Oh my goodness.
Just look up what bowels are.
Will do. I'll feel.
I'll do it for you. Here you go. We'll use the AI overview again because this is common knowledge. Bowels are a part of the digestive tract comprising the small intestine and large intestine, rectum and anus. So you're right. I left out a part. Your bowels also include your butthole.
Oh, the sphincter. Okay. Well, I'm ignorant. I guess I'm just ignorant, bro.
I don't know how you came to believe this and why you believe that these are good arguments if you haven't looked into them yourself.
Well, I have looked into them.
Apparently not.
My plate has been very full lately, so
Look. You don't have to have looked into them, but you shouldn't treat them as if they're convincing arguments for something if you haven't.
Okay, so if I were to talk about the ocean, all right, and God.
I take it we're going to do this again, aren't we?
We are.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll give you one more.
All right. And in the ocean, we know that there are waves that overlap other waves. Like there's levels of waves. There's like this level of wave is a surface tension, and then it forms like a different mass of water. And then
Okay, what's the verse and what's the apologetic that you want to present and then we can talk about it, okay?
Okay, absolutely. I just have to look at my thing real quick. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Surah An-Nur.
What's the number?
24.
24, okay.
Verse 40.
Verse 40, okay. Or their deeds are like the darkness in a deep sea covered by waves upon waves, topped by dark clouds. Darkness upon darkness, if one stretches out their hand, they can hardly see it. And whoever Allah does not bless with light will have no light. So are you saying the phrase waves upon waves implies some knowledge about waves that they didn't know back then?
That there is like densities to the water in the ocean, and the clouds at the top would be like the waves crashing, because if you're looking under the first level of water, if you see the waves crashing, it often looks like it's a cloud forming. Am I wrong?
So do you think that they had never seen waves?
Well, not under like 10,000 feet of pressure.
I don't think that, so 10,000
Well, look at
feet
the
isn't an
density
amount
of
of
the
pressure.
ocean.
But waves don't go that deep.
Look at the different densities in the ocean. How at what depth the water density changes.
So the density of water is basically unchanging.
There are waves. What is the north?
There are currents. Is that what you mean?
In an aspect, a current could be an example, but the wave.
No, a current isn't a wave, though.
Water has different levels of density, brother.
No, it doesn't. That's like one of the important features of water is that it's like basically incompressible.
Just please look at what I'm like there it's
yeah, so you want me to look up the density of water of at, I don't know, 1,000 feet
say
under the ocean.
How many different levels or layers of water are there in the ocean?
So are you talking about like, you're talking about oceanic layers? Yeah, so oceanic layers are a thing, but those are different waves, right? So the layers of the ocean are kind of like, these are kind of like arbitrary things that we made up.
So what would you call it back in the day? What would you call another level of pressure of water?
It's not a difference in pressure or anything like that. It's not a difference in like waves or whatever. It's just like a demarcation that we use because there are different like features and different kinds. Like for example, there are certain kinds of organisms that only go so deep because, you know, the light only gets so deep. And so like if you are an organism that needs to photosynthesize, then you can't live like 10,000 feet below the ocean or below the ocean surface because you won't get any light there.
But you wouldn't have known these facts about
what fact am I missing? Or what fact is he missing?
The ability to see at such a depth. Like say if I'm 10,000 feet down.
So in the Quran it says waves upon waves. What does that have to do with there being different layers of the ocean that are demarcated by like the organisms that live there and the amount of light that penetrates and things like that?
God speaks in metaphors, man.
Okay, so it requires interpretation. So again, you're just reading the science into the book rather than reading the science out of the book.
Here's the thing: if you just allow every single buddy to just get something, that means the people that are absolutely toxic and trash, they're going to be like all about it too, because then they can just do whatever, you know.
So are you telling me that Allah doesn't want everybody to believe in Him?
Not everyone is going to. He allows who He wills to understand the truth for what it is.
I thought that under Islam the goal was to get everybody to believe.
Your job as a Muslim is to, yes, dawah is very important. Being like, hey, you know.
So then why did He make it so hard for you guys? Why did He make all the arguments so bad?
My way of presenting them was probably not the best. I haven't slept but 2 hours today. I saw you on, and I was like, this guy speaks really good. He's got a lot of etiquette. He's very communicable. I appreciate that. I've yet to find someone who's like as chill as you are, because everyone else would have been like, you're effing this and effing that, and I'm like, bro, like, what are
my mama taught me good.
I can tell, bro. You've got great etiquette, and I respect that. And I was in the military at one point in time, so I did 7 years, and you know.
Hey, well, thanks for your service, man. As long as you were serving the right guy, the good guys, you know. Look, so Francis, I'm going to let you go because I want to bring on another guest before I end the live.
For sure.
But thank you so much for being here, and I do appreciate it. One final thing, like, you don't need to be able to explain all of these things, but just as like a word of advice, until you can explain it to yourself, until you've looked into it and seen like why these are good arguments, I wouldn't recommend presenting them to other people, right? Because otherwise this will happen again. And you don't want that.
I think what I did is I failed to use my tablet as my device, and I used my phone because all my stuff is on my tablet. I could have just been like beep bop boop, but my phone was pretty much dead, so I didn't want to like risk it dying while it's charging. You know what I'm saying? Understandable.
Well, look, Francis, thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate you. Have a good one. Okay.
Thank you. God bless you, man. You know, and you know, either way, you have.
Oh, he paused and I clicked and then he kept talking. That's my bad.